Nano Machine. Bai, Ang Hongguolja. Chapter 139. Scheme. Part 1. It had been 7 days since Yoan had passed the 6th test. It was now 3 years and 7 months since the first day of the Demonic Academy. From the over 1,000 cadets that first entered, there were now only 64 cadets remaining. Just like other times when the airship competition was going on, this time too had trained many talented warriors. 56 4th stage cadets. 7 5th stage cadets. 1 6th stage cadet. This was the best result in recent history of the Academy, with still 5 more months left for Academy to be over. But competition-wise, it was entirely different from what had happened from the past. This was because of Yoan, who was not from any of the 6 clans. In most cases, princes from each clans would have passed the 5th test and will be competing against themselves to create their own forces, but 5 princes were expelled from the Academy already. Chun Yuchan, one of likely heir to the throne, had expelled already, and Chun Kungwan, rising rival to the Wise clan, had his arm cut off and walked out of the Academy. With 10 cadets who were related to the Sword clan also leaving, there were now a total of 53 cadets left. 8 cadets who joined Chun Kungwan within the Academy changed their side to Chun Muan, and now Muan's forces had total of 26, most number. Only candidates left within the Academy were now Chun Yoan and Chun Muan. With 5 more months to go, it was now the beginning of final competition. At the northwest of the Academy, there were many cadets gathered in large open space. It was cadets who were members who supported Chun Muan as the heir. But there were no Chun Muan here. One who had the most influence aside from Chun Muan was Mu Jinyun, from the Wise clan, and Guxin from a top-ranking clan. These cadets were gathered to talk about how to terminate Chun Yoan, biggest obstacle that was in place in front of Chun Muan. We didn't have any order from the prince himself. Is it okay we decide on what to do on ourselves? Mu Jinyun then shook his head at one of cadets' question. No, it's not that the prince did not give us order. He had placed me to do what it takes in place while he focuses on his martial art. Did the prince made him to work on his behalf? After being influenced by Chun Yoan, who had passed the 6th test, Chun Muan was trying hard to train his martial art on the training room. Maybe this was a right choice. Chun Yoan was now within top 10 ranks of the demonic cult. Wise clan was still top-ranking clans outside the Academy, but Chun Muan was now left far behind in terms of competition, so if he were to compete, he needed to at least become a superior level warrior and pass the 6th test. While the prince focuses on his training, we have to be prepared on our side. We can't let Chun Yoan be, or we might lose our chance forever. Chun Yoan was becoming powerful as the days went by. If they weren't able to take care of him before the remaining days, there was a chance Chun Muan will not win the competition. Jinyun, you are right, but how are we supposed to fight the one who killed the leader of the Poison clan? Isn't it better to recruit those 10 cadets who did not side with anyone yet? Other cadets nodded at Guxin's words. Within the Academy, there were no one who can defeat Chun Yoan, even if it included everyone. He had become so powerful that combined forces of everyone can barely hope to make a scratch on his body. Who said we need to fight Chun Yoan himself? Huh? How are we compared to his forces? Mu Jinyun asked, and it was Kyomingsu who answered. In terms of forces, they have 3 established grandmasters, Mun Ku, Ko Wonger, and Baki. I'm not sure about the rest as we aren't sure about if they took the test, but as far as we can see, there would be at least 3 or 4 more grandmaster level warriors in their group. Kyomingsu's guess was accurate. Ho Sangwa, Wu Sojung, Jia Wumin, and Che Takim had become grandmasters, but they had not become established yet and couldn't take the 5th test. But we have 2 established supermaster level warrior here, and 6 early stage of the grandmaster level, and the rest of us are at the end stage of the master level. So we are equal or a bit higher in terms of power against them. Chun Muan's members were comprised of high-ranking clans that averaging skill level was higher. Mu Jinyun had become established grandmasters recently but didn't take the 5th test yet. I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but this kind of power balance doesn't matter. Ki-chan, a cadet who used to be under Chun Kungwan, jumped in. He had experienced Chun Yoan overpowering 19 cadets including Chun Kungwan with the absolute power. Others were also powerful, but if they couldn't do anything about Chun Yoan, this theory crafting was useless. Ha! Are you scared already because you were beaten once? Ugh, you two saw what monster he is on the 6th test. Yes, I know. That's why we have to deal with him with plans. Mu Jinyun spoke confidently and everyone became curious. Just 3 days ago, he didn't have any plan at the time, but it seemed he had come up with some plans. Gukshin, it is important we recruit remaining cadets too. We have to recruit Sama, Chuck and Huanya at least. These two members were from top-ranking clans, the Samu clan and Ghost Illusion clan that everyone wanted. Their fathers were Sama E, the 9th elder, and Huan E, the 11th elder. But Chun Muyan did not actively recruit others unlike Chun Yuchan or Chun Kungwon, so they didn't do anything until now. But things changed. If we can take them in, we can come on top. I'm not sure about Huanya though. Gukshin frowned. Huanya was from highest-ranking clan, but there was a reason other princes didn't recruit him. He had terrifying faces and dark and gloomy aura about him that no one wanted to come close. We can't choose what to take or not at this point. Okay. I heard Chun Yoan is busy training in the private training room in recent days. He rarely even comes to dinner. You've done some research. Yes. Information is a vital key to the victory. Now is the best chance. We'll cut down Yoan's arms and legs and go after him at the end. Chapter 140. Scheme. Part 2. Gukshin and other cadets were dumbfounded at that word. Even if they succeed in taking care of Yoan's members, it just felt like they were angering the demon. Are you insane? Two princes lost their arms while trying to attack his members. Chun Jongsum who attacked Baki were even destroyed of his internal energy. Chun Yoan was famous also due to his infamous deeds. Everyone who fought against him were all severely injured that made everyone to become fearful. Even Gukshin feared Chun Yoan. You are a coward too. What? Gukshin frowned and Mujinyan smiled. We will not fight him by ourselves. What are you talking about? He is a monster, like you said. We don't need to fight him ourselves. Are you saying there is someone who will fight him? Gukshin became surprised. It seemed even the Chief Li Hamming was not going to defeat Yoan anymore. Then who out there might be willing to attack him? There are 4 people who hate him more than anything. As Mu Jinyun spoke the names of 4 cadets, others became surprised and confusing. They knew these 4 was still within the academy, but didn't think they would hold the grudge for so long. Wow. If that really succeeds, then it might really give us a chance. Yes. We'll cut his arms and legs while he's busy. If he's not going to stop us, then we can do it. When will we start? If it wasn't against Chun Yoan, Gukshin was confident to defeat anyone. He wanted to fight Ko Wonger the most. We will do it next dinner time. I already talked with those 4 cadets. But it is better if we can let Sama Chuck and Huanya join us before. Sure. Let's go try to recruit them now then. The next day in the late afternoon, Chun Yoan was busy training in a private training room. He had found sword skills left by Sword Demon and tracing of blade formation left by the Blade God and acquired a total of 6 blood formation from it. Chun Yoan was very happy at acquiring such powerful blade skill, but there was a problem. The blade marking didn't have energy flow. Without the flow of energy way, it wasn't possible to perfect the formation. For the true Sword Demon art left by the Sword Demon, he also left the breathing skill and the path of energy flow, but the blade markings were just markings. But Yoan wasn't disappointed. 3 years and 4 months of training didn't only grow Yoan. After analyzing through all saved martial arts, Nano was able to simulate and create a path of energy flow that can make each formation to be used with its utmost power. Even if the created path wasn't what the original creator intended, it was created from Nano's analysis, so it was either equal to or better than the original. Yoan's white dragon blade moved weirdly and created countless blade swings that shoot through the air with a strong impact. It was quite different from butterfly blade dance that focused on being quick. Each blade movement came from a weird angle that was hard to connect from one to another, so mere movement was powerful enough to cut down the enemy in just one formation. Phew. After finishing up the formation, the floor of the room had many tracing of blade marks. He didn't even use any chi, but the power unleashed from the blade attack was so powerful that created such markings. Ha 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 ha. I did it, Nano. Yoan didn't laugh out loud usually, but he was so happy to successfully use the formation in perfection. He had tested every energy flow Nano created in the past 8 days and finally found the one that worked best. It finally allowed him to use the first formation of the Blade God's blade formation. If the Sword Demon saw this with his own eyes, he would have been shocked. I will now start analyzing for the path of energy flow required for the second formation. Nano then began analyzing the second formation. Yoan, who had gone over the same formation hundreds of times in a day, became exhausted and sat down to recover his internal energy. Oh, I'm hungry, Kropka. His energy was restored, but it did not solve his hunger. It was now almost dinner time, so Yoan decided to finish today's training here and left the training room. The winter season brought the sun to go down faster, so it was very dark outside. Yoan went straight to the cafeteria. Inside of the cafeteria was bright, but there were no crowds anymore, as not many cadets were left. There had been over 50 workers within the cafeteria in the past, but the number of workers also went down to 20. Yoan smelled spiciness within the cafeteria and saw a large pot of red soup that had meats, mushrooms and various vegetables that filled the entire cafeteria with its smell. It was a very spicy soup that made ones that eat sweat from the heat even in such cold winter. I wanted spicy food. Yoan then went up to take the bowl, and a young worker filled the bowl from the large pot and gave it to Yoan. The worker, however, shook his head tremendously, maybe due to the heat from the bowl. Yoan became curious and looked at the worker. He was tense and sweating severely. Are you okay? Oh, yes. I'm okay. It's just too hot to be in front of this pot all day. The worker then gave the bowl to Yoan. The heat from the pot was surely hot, but it felt weird and Yoan thought it strange. And there was one who was watching Yoan carefully at the corner of the cafeteria. He was also taking the soup, but his eyes did not pull away from Chun Yoan. He saw Chun Yoan sitting down with a confused look as he looked down at the soup. Did he find out? He then saw Chun Yoan tasting on the soup with his chopsticks. After tasting the soup a bit with his tongue, Yoan frowned. But soon after, he began holding up the bowl and began to drink down the soup. The man who watched him grinned. There we go. Chapter 141. Scheme. Part 3. A total of 12 cadets gathered at front of the wall toward the torch fire. They were cadets from Chun Yoan's group. It was cold winter night, so some were staying close to the fire to keep warm, and some were flowing their internal energy to keep up their body temperature, even if it was a bit of a hassle. Is Master skipping dinner today too? Ojong mumbled as he warmed his hand over at the fire. Yoan had not been together for the past 6 days already, aside from a brief breakfast. Yoan told them that he had something he needs to train, so he might skip dinner. But he ate once in 2 days. Hubong spoke and Ko Wonger nodded. We didn't see him at dinner yesterday, so maybe he's already at cafeteria. Unlike the whole group, which waited until everyone gathered and went to the cafeteria almost at the end of dinner time, they usually saw Yoan when he finished eating and was on the way out. Ugh, we can have dinner with him if they come out a bit faster. Ho Sangwa, Baki, and Jean Guk were still missing from the group. They have been waiting for 20 minutes already, so Mun Ku didn't look too comfortable as she rubbed her face with her hands. Ko Wonger grinned. He wasn't like that at first, but now he likes Master as much as Hubong do. Hubong was the first servant, so that was understandable, but it was quite weird to see Mun Ku, a member from the highest-ranking clan, to be acting like this. It almost looked like if Mun Ku liked Yoan as the opposite sex. He's strong but he looks too weak. It sometimes felt weird to see Mun Ku's thin arm and small body that almost looked feminine. What am I thinking? Ko Wonger figured he went too much on his thoughts and shook his head. Ho Sangwa soon came out, followed by Jean Guk, and Baki walked out as the last. You're late again. Mun Ku mumbled and Baki looked away awkwardly. Baki was always the last to come out, so Mun Ku ranted on him a lot. Hubong had gave up on Baki being late. Well, he's faster than yesterday. Let's go eat now. As they began walking down to the southern road, Ko Wonger, who was walking up on the front, suddenly stopped. Not only that, the other 6 swords also stopped as if they sensed something. What is going, huh? Before Jean Guk can finish his question, over 20 cadets came out of training room building and blocked their ways. After looking at the faces lit under torches, Ko Wonger frowned. The young man standing at the front was Guk Shin. Guk Shin? Then? They were members of Chun Muan. They never had clashed directly until now, but if they were blocking the way with arms, then it sure meant they were up for no good. An ambush. On the way back to his dorm after finishing the dinner, Chun Yoan was blocked by 4 men. Yoan knew very well who these men were. It was Kingpo from the Sword Clan, Hang Yujik from Lust Clan, Bu Yenkong from Blade Clan, and Bek Churku from Poison Clan. I thought they left together. Kingpo had his chest bone crushed from Yoan's hands, so Yoan had thought he had left the academy with Chun Kungwan, who had lost an arm. If there was a member from the Loyal and Wise clans, then it meant all members from 6 clans were here. And from their hostile atmosphere, it was easy to guess why they were standing in front. Yoan looked at them and spoke casually. What do you want? Bek Churka glared and shouted. Chun Yoan. You think we will not come to you for killing our elder and destroying Jongsum's internal energy? Bek Churku was who had the most grudge against Yoan. After Chun Jongsum's internal energy destroyed, Churku had been training hard to look for a chance to avenge. And then Yoan had killed Churku's grandfather Beko, which made him furious. You seek what doesn't belong to you, peasant. The seat of the Lord does not belong to you. Bu Yenkong from Blade Clan pulled his blade and began to walk up to him. Only Kingpo, who was injured recently, was hesitant. Hang Yujik also took out an instrument-looking sword out. Yoan still didn't look tense. You think 4 of you can defeat me? Ha. Only one of us is enough to beat the likes of you. It seems they were certain that they can defeat Yoan for real. Yoan was sure that none of them had become at the supreme level, but what was giving them such confidence? Foolish peasant boy. I waited for this time for a long time. Bek Churku glared. Just about 30 minutes ago, Churku had seen Yoan eating the spicy soup entirely and was excited. The soup had the poison that he crafted with all of his knowledge and power. You wouldn't even guess how hard I worked on that poison. Bek Churku had worked a long time to set up traps for Yoan. He knew that Chun Yoan was not someone to be messed with in terms of martial art, so he had found a way to poison him. You can poison him? But how? Bu Yenkong or Hang Yujik weren't convinced that there was a way to poison Chun Yoan, who even endured Bek O's terrifying poison, but after hearing the scheme, they decided to join. Maybe you managed to push out poison after becoming the supreme level, but you won't be able to push out the one that's already gotten into your body. Churku had worked so hard to bribe the cooking staff to poison Chun Yoan. With the promise of fortune and support from the Poison Clan, the worker had created a spicy soup that had a strong smell to hide the poison within it. Poison was in the scoop. Even if Chun Yoan had a lot of suspicion, it wasn't likely that he will become suspicious that a worker might poison it. Churka thought it almost failed when Yoan tasted it with the chopstick, but Yoan ate it all after. The poison's effect was that after about 10 minutes, it scatters internal energy so it can't be pulled up, and the second poison will kick in after to melt Yoan's veins and organs so he will die. I did it. Chapter 142. Scheme. Part 4. Churka told the other cadets that his plans worked. He knew that Yoan will lose his internal energy and slowly die, so they ambushed without hesitation. I need to make sure. If Chun Yoan had lost his internal energy, then it was probably possible to defeat him alone, but it was the first time Churku used poison against superior-level warrior. There was a chance that the poison might kick in late because of the high level of internal energy, so they gathered. They were 4 Grandmaster-level warriors. There was no way for Chun Yoan to survive this. Churka then began to speak what Yoan did not know. Let's see if you can keep that smirk on your face even when you end up at the medical room along with your friends. Oh, of course, if you can survive here, that is. What are you talking about? Yoan's eyes narrowed at the word. He had thought he was only one targeted, so he didn't think his members were also targeted. But with these people here, who would attack his members? Did they side with the Wise clan members? Yoan then thought that if there were members from 4 clans here, then it was likely that they also sided with another remaining clan. If Chun Muan is up, then it's dangerous. Chun Yoan became grim. Churku, who figured that Yoan was scared, grinned. Yoan reached to his back and pulled out the white dragon blade. There was no time for him to waste. I don't have time, so let's finish this fast. Finish? You cut down my sister's arm, so I will cut your both arms. Hang Yujik from the Lust clan shouted furiously and charged against Yoan. As he swung his sword, the string from between his swords plucked, making a unique energy wave. It was a way to make the enemy's ear ring, and open the room for attack. The sword swung at Yoan's arm to cut it down. What? Hang Yujik's eye became widened. Chun Yoan, who should have lost his internal energy, easily swung his blade and destroyed Hang Yujik's sword. Why you? I said I don't have time. Chun Yoan then disappeared and shoot past Hang Yujik, cutting off his arm. Yujik declared that he will cut down Yoan's arms, but instead it was he who got his arm cut off. Yujik screamed in agony and fell down to the ground and rolled. How can this be? Churka's eye began to shake in terror. It was not Hang Yujik losing his arm that shocked everyone. It was Yoan's white dragon blade that wielded clear blue force chi over it that made them shocked. I thought he was poisoned. How can he use force chi? Even if Yoan had withstood it with supreme level power, it still should have scattered his internal energy that should make him impossible to use force chi. Kingpo and Bu Yenkong glared at Churku. I saw him eat the soup. Huh? You talking about this? Yoan looked at Churka's shocked face and reached out his hand on the air, right above Hang Yujik on the ground, and gestured to twist. And in his hand, black liquids began to seep out and drop down to Hang Yujik. Arowawarg. Hang Yujik's thigh that came in contact with the liquid began to burn, with smoke rising from it. It was pure poison itself. Pea poison? Yoan looked at them with cold eyes and declared. You thought this trick will work on me? When Yoan tasted the soup with the chopstick, he ordered Nano to analyze it quickly. Detected poison that can disturb the body energy and scatter it. The suspicion started with the cooking staff's weird attitude. Yoan just checked it just in case and his suspicion came to be true. This meant that the soup was poisoned intentionally. He thought if he should not eat it, but changed his mind. If I don't eat this, whoever did this will know that I found out. Nano, can you collect the poison and keep it from spreading over my body? Yes, master. After collecting the poison with Nano's ability, Yoan ate all the soup. And the poison was now extracted this way. Arg. Hang Yujik screamed in pain and the other 3 cadets were shocked beyond imagination. It is impossible. He kept the poison inside him and sent it out. Pushing out the poison from the body was possible for most experienced warriors who studied in poison art. But doing that while poisoned in such poison that can scatter internal energy was impossible even for Churku, who was a member of the poison clan. How can you? I don't have time to explain. Yoan then disappeared and appeared at the back of Buyenkong. It was so fast that they couldn't even see Yoan moving. After learning the step of Wind God, unique walking skill from Great Guardian Marakim, Yoan had gotten much faster. Yenkong. Watch out! Damn it! Kingpo shouted and Buyenkong quickly turned around to unleash the defensive blade formation of the Blade of Illusion. But he was given no time, as Yoan was already on his back. Yoan's hand unleashed powerful chop movements and struck on Yenkong's back. Ugh! Yenkong spat blood as he was struck with a total of 8 strikes over his back and was thrown away. The power difference in internal energy was too great, so he couldn't defend himself with the energy barrier either. Buyenkong, who fell on the ground, flinched and passed out. Just one formation? Kingpo was shocked and began to take steps back. He knew Yoan was powerful as he fought him while ago, but this was even worse than he imagined. Damn it! I shouldn't have listened to Churku. This was the same as before. Chun Yoan without being poisoned was a monster himself. I barely got out of the medical room. It was likely that he will be sent to the medical room again. Even if he wanted to run, Yoan was too fast that he couldn't even hope for running away. But Yoan, without coming after him or Churku, walked over to Buyenkong instead. But the hostility was weird. Yoan glared down at Buyenkong and raised his foot over at Yenkong's head. Wait. Chun Yoan. What do you think you are doing? You think I will let you go with an arm forever? No. Yoan stomped and Yenkong's head crushed, with blood exploding out from it. But how? He killed Yenkong. Kingpo and Churku's face turned pale. They didn't imagine Yoan will crush a person's head. The level of martial art did not matter here. Kingpo lost energy to stand from terror and slumped down. It's your turn now. Yoan then turned against them. The terrifying atmosphere came through. Is he really going to kill us? This was different from what Yoan did until now. He always withdrew from killing other princes, but it seemed he was not going to limit himself anymore. And with Yoan unleashing his internal energy, Kingpo felt terrifying sheer power that made him give up. And no, I can't run away from him. There seemed to be no way to run. But unlike Kingpo, who was shivering with fear, Churku, who was determined to turn things upside down, shouted quickly. Why, you are crazy. Are you not afraid of fury from the 6 clans? 6 clans? As Yoan reached out with his hand, something on the ground brought up, and from Yoan's energy controlling it, it hovered over the air and shoot through at Kingpo. Ugh! Kingpo, who was dumbfounded and shaking, had something striking into his chest. It was Hang Yujik's broken sword. You! Kingpo painfully fell to the ground and Churku shouted in fury. Yoan replied coldly. If I was afraid of them, I wouldn't even start this. His eyes had no fear or hesitation. Churku bit on his lips and cursed Yoan. You have made a grave mistake. The 6 clans will not let you live. Ha! We'll see about that. And with that, Yoan's body charged against Churku. Chapter 143. Scheme. Part 5. After about 30 minutes, Yoan, who took care of 4 cadets from 6 clans, quickly ran through to find his members. If what Baek Churku said was true, then it meant his members were in danger. And if Chun Muan attacks them while Yoan wasn't with them, then they were not going to easy. Yoan needed to move fast. And as he moved through, he felt the energy. There. Yoan felt many energy sources coming into his direction quickly. And soon, Yoan found those who ran through toward his direction. Master. Prince Chun. It was Yoan's members. With their bodies steaming with heat from internal energy, it was sure that they have been looking for Yoan as well. As expected, Yoan's members have been searching around from the training room and was now toward the dorm room. You're okay? Thank goodness. Mun-ku sighed in relief as she checked that Yoan was safe. Other members seemed they were relieved also. Master, are you okay? Ko-wonger asked and Yoan became confused. That's what I need to ask. Weren't you guys attacked by Chun Muyan's group? What Cherku had said was not just a bluff. If Yoan was really poisoned, then it sure was the best chance to get rid of both Chun Yoan and his members. Ko-wonger was surprised. How did you know that? But all of Yoan's members were unharmed. But it wasn't an ambush. Members from Chun Muyan came and offered us to join them. Huh? Gukshin and members from Chun Muyan's group did not attack them. They offered them a deal, saying that Chun Yoan will never become an heir as he wasn't from 6 clans, so it was better to follow Chun Muyan. Ko-wonger. I heard you are a loyal man. But you must be rational. Even if Chun Yoan is powerful, he is still under the protection of the demonic academy. If he leaves, then he will have to face all 6 clans and other high-ranking clans. Do you think that is possible? But Prince Chun Muyan is a wise man, and will be willing to take you all. Please don't be a fool and choose Chun Yoan. Gukshin and Mu Jinyun claimed that Chun Yoan couldn't do anything against the might of the 6 clans. But no one under Chun Yoan was afraid of 6 clans. Hu Bong, who got angered by these cadets talking down of Yoan, shouted. Bah! Stop giving us that bullshit. What? You think I will still go with the wise clan? And you are just calling the name of our prince, when you should address him as Elder Chun, remember? Master Guk? Hu Bong spat and both cadets were lost for words. Hu Bong was actually right on that one. How dare you speak to me like that, weakling from mid-ranking clan? You want to have a go against that weakling then? What did you say? Gukshin, we aren't here to fight. Gukshin became angered, but Mu Jinyun stopped him. Ko-wonger also spoke to them with a frown. Don't think our master is alone. We are ready to die for him anytime. So, Elder Chun Yoan has some men. This makes me more tempted to recruit you, Wonger. We'll be waiting. Mu Jinyun, who clearly said he didn't intend on fighting Yoan, just told Wonger to think it through and left. He just left? Yes. They wanted to make us join them, but that's all they did. Yoan was ambushed, but his members weren't harmed. Yoan's eye narrowed. It was hard to understand from a simple thought, but members from 4 clans ambushed me to kill me, but the ones from Wise clan only offered to recruit. After thinking about it multiple times, Yoan finally came to the conclusion. It's a scheme. Mu Jinyun, after being left alone, was now talking with someone in the training room. It was Chun Muyan, prince of the Wise clan. Muyan's clothes were drenched in sweat from his long day of training. Jinyun spoke to him with a grin. I did as you told me, brother. So no matter what happens to Chun Yoan, we have nothing to lose. Ha ha ha. We have to be careful. He endured the poison man's poison. Surprisingly, Muyan, who were said to have entrusted every work to Mu Jinyun, knew what was going around. This was why Muyan's members were confused. Chun Muyan was not a type who can give all of his authority, even if the person was his brother. It was especially so at the matter of competition. Well, if he dies you will be the winner of the competition. And if he doesn't die, then he will have the anger of 4 clans. Isn't it? If Yoan were to survive, it was likely that he would not let his attackers go easily. It was attacking 4 members from each respective clan at once, so it was likely to bring more impact. Ha 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 ha. This is the best scheme. Whichever happens, it was a plus. And even if Yoan was to survive, they had something to say. They can say that the Poison Clan offered them, but they refused to join the dirty tricks. Chun Muyan analyzed his power coldly. He knew that the combined power of his group was still no match for Yoan and his members. If that was the case, then it was needed to borrow power from others. This is truly a strategy. I learn new things from you every time, brother. All of this was a competition. For the Wise Clan, Cherku and the other 3 cadets did their job to hold back Yoan enough. And with hearing everything, Muyan waved his hand off and spoke. You should go now. I'll return to my training. Yes, brother. Then. That's when someone pounded on the thick door of the training room. It wasn't just once. Huh? The door should have a sign posted outside that said it was in use, so there should be no one pounding. Muyan nodded and Jinyun went to the door and opened it. As it opened, with many torches, senior instructor Ho Jinchong revealed himself. Instructor? But he wasn't alone. There were many other instructors standing outside with their swords out, ready. It seemed they were ready to fight if needed. What's going on? Jin Yun figured out something was going wrong and asked, and turned back to Muan. It's good that you two are together. Huh? Instructor, I don't follow what you are saying. We have ordered to arrest both of you and bring you to the chief's office. I want to do this easy way, so please don't resist. Ho Jincheng spoke as he also pulled out his sword. Chapter 144. Scheme. Part 6. At the back of Ho Jincheng, there were over 40 instructors armed and ready. They all looked tense. Chun Muyan and Mu Jinyun were established Grandmaster-level warriors. The only one who can fight them one-on-one was Ho Jincheng. The reason why all of them were brought here was the possibility of Muyan or Jinyun refusing to be arrested. What is going on? Even Chun Muyan couldn't understand what was going on. This was first time he was experiencing such happening in 3 years and 6th month time in academy. If they are armed, then they expected us to resist. From the look of the instructors outside, it seemed situation will get worse if he resisted. Yes, sir. Muyan then pulled back the sword he held, for his training. With Muyan taking the order, Mu Jinyun also had to follow his brother. Good choice. 2 of them were then brought out of the training room with over 40 instructors circling them. Outside the building, few members from Chun Muyan's group looked at 2 being taken away with dumbfounded look. Within them was also Guxin. From the looks of their serious face, it was sure they knew something. What's going on? Jinyun quickly sent a telepathic message. Guxin then replied with something Jinyun didn't even imagine. I am not sure exactly. But the instructors are saying that they have found bodies within the academy. What? Jinyun became grim. What was going on? Killing someone within the academy was against the rule, so that should not have happened. And even if bodies were found, why were they being taken away? Jinyun wanted to ask more but he couldn't do it anymore as they were being taken away. When they got to the front of the building, there were 2 instructors standing at the entrance. Instructor Ho. I have the suspects. Chief. He's at the site of crime. He told to bring suspects there. Suspect? Jinyun's face turned grim. He wasn't sure why he was being taken, but it now was sure that Muyan and Jinyun was being considered as a killer. Take us there. Yes, sir. With 2 instructors leading the way, all of them then turned to the dormitory area of the academy. The place they went were dark alleyway behind the dormitory. There were about 20 instructors there already, and the area was lit up brightly from torches that these instructors held up. Almost all the instructors were now here. Is this the smell of blood? The air was cold, but thick smell blood filled the area. At the middle of where 20 instructors were standing, Li Hamming was looking into something. There was a total of 4 bodies scattered around. What? Jinyun's eyes shook. These were cadets who said that they would ambush Chun Yoan. It wasn't sure why they were found as corpses. What happened? Why did they die? Chief. Ho Jincheng spoke and Li Hamming got up. His face was distorted with fury. Li Hamming walked up to the group and stood at front of 2 cadets. Master Chun Muyan. Leader Mu Jinyun. Yes, Chief. Chun Muyan and Jinyun both bowed politely. Li Hamming spoke to them furiously. I'll cut to the chase. Is it both of you? Or is it just act of one person? It was very direct. Jinyun was shocked to hear Hamming's question on who was behind this. If they were found as bodies, then only one who can be behind all this was Chun Yoan. But they were the one who was being called suspects. See Chief, I am not sure what you are talking about. Hamming's eye raised. So, you will lie. No, we are. Chief. Chun Muyan interrupted Jinyun and spoke. Me and Jinyun was in the training room, and was just brought here. We do not know what is going on, so we truly do not know what you are talking about. Unlike Jinyun, Muyan was still keeping calm. Li Hamming then gestured them to follow him. As they walked through instructors circling around the site, they saw first body with one of its leg melted, and an arm cut off. Hang Yujik? It was body of Hang Yujik, from the Lust clan. The sign of death was from the loss of blood, but his face was turned black that it was sure that he was also poisoned. A poison? Why? Jinyun became confused. If the plan worked out, then it should have been Chun Yoan who should have been poisoned. But it was Hang Yujik who was poisoned instead. Did you see it? Hamming then brought them over to another body. Kingpo. Kingpo, dead with kneeling on the ground, was still had fear-struck face. There were sword penetrated into his chest, which was broken pieces from the sword from the Lust clan. Just by looking at this, it looked as if Kingpo and Hang Yujik were killed while fighting each other. Something went wrong. Jinyun then realized something had gone terribly wrong. If looking from these bodies, there were no signs of Chun Yoan killing them. Next. Hamming then pointed at the body placed at about 15 steps away. Ugh. Yoan almost vomited at the sight of the body. Third body had his head half crushed, with blood and brain spilling out from it. But the top clothes of the body were pulled out, and on back of it had 8 hand marks over it. Yoan felt sweat running down his forehead. Chunmyeon too seemed to have been shocked by the palm marking on the back. There was no way they would not realize what that was. 8th formation of the energy hand. This was one of Y's clan's martial art, the Y's energy hand 4th formation. They now realized what the situation was. But how can that be? So, this was why we were considered to be a suspect. Chapter 145. Scheme. Part 7. The clear sign of the Y's energy hand made them become a suspect. But the problem was that they weren't the ones who did this. They had to explain. Stop. Brother? Yoan spoke out that it wasn't them, but Muan stopped him from doing that. It's a trap. A trap? There is skillbook for the Y's energy hand at the 5th floor of Teehee Library. Muan was quick to recover from the shock. He was the one who set up this scheme in the first place, so it was apparent as to who was behind killing of these cadets. But he was surprised at 2 things, as he never saw Yoan killing ones that attacked him like this. So, he don't need to care anymore? And second thing he was shocked was that Yoan had become very cunning. He didn't think Yoan will take this as a chance to strike back. Just by one formation of the Y's energy hand made Chunmyeon become a suspect. He is really dangerous. If they were to spill the truth, then they had to say that they were related to this whole incident. Muan had to explain calmly that he wasn't involved in any of this. I'll take care of it, so be still. Okay. Muan looked down at the body. Luckily, only thing left on the body was palm trace of the Y's energy hand. Yoan, you made a mistake. The 5th floor of the library was open for everyone who had passed the 5th test. That meant anyone had chance to learn that skill. You saw that? Then off to the last body. Lee Hamming then took them to the body at farthest place. Brother is always right, let's keep calm. And Yoan, who thought he had to keep calm, instantly frowned at the last sight of the body. What is this? It was dumbfounded. The last body was Baek Churku. He was also unclothed on top part of his body, that had tracing of 2 formations. Even Chunmyeon became grim. On the left chest of Churku, there were tracing of red swollen mark from palms, and from right chest to the stomach, there were sword markings. The reason why both Muan and Yoan was shocked was simple. Left was the fist formation from the Y's energy hand, and the right sword trace was left by the sword formation of Y's demon sword. Muan clenched his fist hard. Right. Sword left hand. This was final step of martial art in Y's clan, that only the first elder Mu Jinwon and Chunmyeon had learned within the Y's clan. Only time that Muan showed this was from the battle for Yellow Tag 3 years ago, and now it was on the body. Lee Hamming then looked back at Muan coldly. You have anything more to say, Master Chun? The Y's clan was the top clan even within 6 clans. Mu Jinwon, the first elder, had learned to use 2 martial art over on both hands, and was ranked 2nd within the cult in terms of power. With both martial art needing to be used on both hands, it was hard to learn this. Even within the Y's clan, only Chunmyeon was the one learned this other than Jinwon. Muan head showed he had acquired this in front of everyone for the Yellow Tag 3 years ago. Right sword left hand? Lee Hamming recognized this immediately when he saw the body of Churku. Warrior like Lee Hamming was easy to see what martial art was used to leave the trace. So, Master Chun, what do you say? Only one who can use right sword left hand was Chunmyeon within the academy. What did you really do? Chunmyeon couldn't focus on what Lee Hamming was saying. He was too shocked and confused at the trap set out from him that he couldn't even guess. He used the martial art that he just saw once? This is impossible. He knew Yoan was behind this. But how can he remember one formation that Muan had shown for brief moment 3 years ago? That was impossible even for the first elder Mu Jinwon. There's no way out. All of this was set up by Yoan, and it would only make Muan look funny if he claims Yoan have memorized the formation from 3 years ago and used it. It was so perfectly set out that there were no way out. See, Chief. And with every evidence pointing Chunmyeon as a suspect, Jinwon lost his cool and broke. This is a trap. Master Chun had been inside the training room for the entire day. How can he possibly kill them? It was of course, very true. But even then, there was no way to explain these tracings left on the body. Lee Hamming spoke to Jinwon coldly. Trap? What trap? That's. If he had to explain, then he had to explain everything that had happened here. This was going to reveal that they were related to these schemes, meaning they will suffer in one way or another. No way. If brother gets expelled, then Chun Yoan will become victorious automatically. Jinyun gritted his teeth. He had to stop his brother from being expelled at all cost. Jinyun then decided to choose the alternative so that they can suffer less. Chief, we are not responsible for these deaths. It's nothing if you don't have a proof. Instructors, listen. Yes, sir. As Li Hamming tried to order instructors to arrest them, Jinyun quickly shouted. Chun Yoan. It's him. It's his doing. Chapter 146. Scheme. Part 8. Muan closed both eyes and sighed. He told Jinyun to be quiet, but Jinyun broke at the end. But Muan couldn't blame him either, as if he were to be expelled at the crime of killing cadets, then he was going to lose the competition anyway. Li Hamming then signed instructors to stop from coming. Jinyun then thought he had gotten a chance. I have to explain so that we will look the least involved. Li Hamming looked at him without any word and Jinyun began to explain what had happened, with slight change with it. As these cadets were already dead, he decided to blame all guilt upon them. So, I declined as it didn't seem like a fair competition. Think about it, Chief. What good does it do if we kill them? And if our Master Chun is expelled, then we lose to compete in the competition. We found out they were dead when we came here. Li Hamming, who heard the story, looked weird. He didn't seem to raise any question at all. Jinyun then continued on to the next step. Please call Chun Yoan and his cadets and question them. I explained everything. We are innocent. Jinyun also had an alibi that he was not involved. He was with Chun Yoan's members at the time, so if they testify that, then it was going to be proof. Please. It wasn't why Jinyun met with Yoan's members, but he thought it was fortunate. But Li Hamming, who heard this, didn't react to his expectation. He shook his head and spoke dumbfoundedly. You think I am a fool? Huh? I'm not. Do you think such nonsense will be enough? What? Who do you think found these bodies? Isn't it the instructors? Elder Chun, the other masters, and squad leaders found this crime site and reported it to me directly. That is absurd. Jinyun spat dumbfoundedly. How can one who did this report this, pretending he not done it? Jinyun now became so angry and raised an objection. Chief. It's Chun Yoan, who's the real suspect. Why am I a suspect? Huh? Jinyun and Chun Muan then turned to the sound. Through instructors who circled around, Yoan came between them toward the inside. A criminal came to the crime spot. Is he crazy or reckless? Jinyun was shocked to see Chun Yoan. But when Yoan walked in, all instructors bowed at him and shouted. Elder Chun. Elder Chun. Over 70 instructors all bowed instantly and Jinyun was lost for words. He knew that Yoan had passed the 6th test and became an elder, but he still thought Chun Yoan was still the same cadet and a boy born from a mere servant. Show your respect. Li Hamming spoke, and 2 of them became grim. They were bound to do this, but it felt weird. As 2 of them hesitated, Hamming became furious. I told you, to pay respect. Muan bit his lips and bowed. Elder? Chun. Ugh. Elder Chun. They didn't think the day would come when they will have to bow to Chun Yoan, who they thought was merely a peasant. Damn it. But it was how the cult worked. Mu Jinyun brought his head back up and Yoan looked at him coldly. Leader Mu. So, are you saying that Poison, Blade, Lust and Sword clans set up traps for me and I killed all of them? The situation had gone very wrong. If Jinyun were to agree, then it meant that he was saying the elder of the cult was behind the killing. When Jinyun became silent, Yoan turned to Li Hamming. Chief, can you tell me how these bodies were killed? Of course. Li Hamming snapped his fingers, and instructors gathered bodies into one place. The instructor who brought the body of Hang Yujik began to explain. Hang Yujik was cut down of his arm from Buyenkong's blade formation, and was poisoned by Baek Cherku. The instructor who brought Kingpo then spoke. Kingpo was killed by Hang Yujik's sword penetrating into his heart. At the 2 explanations, Chun Muyan's eye shook. He just thought this incident was done for Yoan to blame on Chun Muyan. No. And the instructor who brought Buyenkong explained further. Buyenkong had his internal organs damaged from possibly the wise energy hand and his head was crushed, leading to his death. And for the last body, Li Hamming spoke himself. As for Baek Cherku, he died from right sword left hand, a special art from the wise clan. Hamming then turned to Muyan, who was reddened, gesturing that Muyan was the one who was behind this. Yoan nodded and turned to Muyan and Jinyun. This is strange. So, are you saying I know how to use all these poison art and other martial arts? That's. Yoan was lost for words. No bodies had a trace of any Chen Yoan's martial arts. From what I can hear, it sounds like 5 people killed each other while fighting. Isn't it? Chen Yoan? Chen Muan's eye became large and glared. After hearing from the sign of death, Muan had guessed something and now confirmed that his guess was correct. He's trying to make the 5 clans fight each other. He just thought Yoan did it to push out Muan from the competition. But that wasn't the reason. Yoan's real target was not only Chen Muan. If these bodies were sent to their respective clans, then each of the clans will think of the killer looking from the tracings. And for Blade and Poison clans, they will be furious at the Wise clan who seem to be behind the killing of their members. No. The scheme that Muan had planned had countered and hit him back hard. With this incident, Chen Yoan successfully removed his last rival at the competition and made all 5 clans fight with each other. Muan had never seen someone with such terrifying strategy aside from his mother, Lady Mu. This was beyond the level of just a simple scheme. Chen Yoan. With everything revealed, Mu Jingyun knew what was now going on, but he couldn't say anything either. They knew the truth, but their hands were tied. They couldn't understand any of these tracings or martial arts used to kill these cadets. It was Chen Yoan's perfect victory. Li Hamming then ordered the instructors. Arrest these 2 and place them in the prison cave. Yes, sir.